everyone. I wanted to create hopefully a short video that will discuss the group periodization project in a little bit more detail in the hopes that it kind of assuages some of your fears about doing a group project online, which I think will actually be a really easy experience for many of you and a very rewarding experience. If nothing else, you get to divide up the work, which I think is extremely helpful for everyone. So I want to start off by discussing, reviewing what is periodization. I introduced you to this concept in lesson 1, but I just wanted to explain it a little bit better or more clearly verbally in the hopes that you understand what the end goal of this project is. So, as I defined in lesson 1, periodization refers to the way historians divide the past into distinct eras. The process of periodization creates structure out of a past that by itself is very fluid and seamless, just like stories require structure. So, when historians attempt to periodize history, sorry, it's a difficult word to say sometimes, they're looking for common characteristics that describe a set period of time, like common political systems. You can look at cultural movements, different social changes. They're also looking for years or events that instigated changes from one period to the next. I want to emphasize that this is a very artificial exercise. I mean, if you really think about it, you can't really create set periodizations for the entirety of global history. It's just too difficult. Areas of the world are moving at different paces, are experiencing different phenomenon. But I think it's still an interesting exercise and discussion for us to have to see if we can find, in the end, kind of a year or events that have global implications, like the Cold War. You can't deny that the Cold War does have global implications. But it does imply that all human societies experience watershed events and changes at roughly the same time. So this seems kind of impossible, right? Well, one example I can think of that did have global implications, that does support the idea of this project, is the end of World War I, 1919. So if you were doing a periodization project for the entirety of the 20th century, you might choose 1919 as your watershed year. Why do historians consider the end of World War I such a important watershed event in global history? Well, there was just huge implications in all parts of the world. Now, it doesn't mean it had the same implications in different parts of the world, but nonetheless, every corner of the earth was somehow affected by the end of World War I. So if you look at Europe, Eurasia, Europe to Russia, you had the end of monarchies in Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Russia with the Russian Revolution. In the Middle East, the various treaties at the end of the war, you basically created the modern Middle East, where dividing up the Middle East and protectorates for Britain and France created the geographical areas that we would now recognize as different nations in the Middle East. In the West, for women, following World War I, women earned the right to vote in most Western nations. So we can see, these are just 3 examples, but we can see in 1919, the end of World War I, the end of this massive war, did have far-reaching global implications. And so these are the years, these are the kinds of events I want you to look for your periodization project. Okay, so, and this is just an example that I had you guys click on in lesson 1, but I just want to reiterate here, this is not going to be easy, but it'll be an interesting discussion because look, this is the world from 1500 to about 2000, 1400 to 2000. And you can see that, different parts of the world are moving at different speeds. And there's different things that have different influences on them. But I'm going to use my cursor here. If you look at World War I, you do see it having some huge implications on different parts of the world. So there are events that we can still find that have far-reaching implications. So what specifically are you supposed to do with the group periodization project? So first of all, the part one is, as a group, you need to decide what you feel is the most important turning point year. You can even use an event between 1945 and 1989. And you're going to be doing this using the online lesson content and the textbook. I do not want primary sources coming into this. This is more a review, a discussion of just the historical background you guys have been reading about for the past few weeks. But I have to emphasize that you cannot use 1945. First of all, most of you probably don't know what happened before 1945, so you can't really show that change over time. And also, this course is about post-1945 history. So I want you to look at the years after 1945 until 1989. So using your reading and things like that, you guys have to decide first what you think is the most important year or watershed event between those years, and then you have to decide why. And I want you to have basically a separate reason or piece of evidence for each member of your group, and this will come into play when you actually put together the presentation. Now, where is this discussion supposed to take place? Well, I did put in the handout on the periodization process that I'd be setting up wiki spaces pages for you, but I figured it's probably easier if we just keep everything on MLS. So if you actually go to communication discussions, it'll pull up the list of discussion forums for the different lessons and scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see group periodization project discussion. Now, because I'm the instructor, every group is listed here, but I've actually divided you into different groups of about 4, maybe 5 members, depending because of the size of the class. And you should just have one forum to click on here. Only your group will have access to this forum, and you guys can upload documents and have discussions about the periodization project. I would even try to, when you start a thread, you can set up notifications and subscribe to this thread. It should send you notifications up here when someone in your group is posted, so you guys can keep track of what's going on. So all of the discussion can happen in the group periodization project discussion. I will be monitoring, but I don't want to interfere. This is about you all creating your own argument as to the turning point. Okay, so the second part, turn to PowerPoint. The second part, after you've had this kind of discussion in the discussion board, is putting together the presentation. Now, you guys aren't writing an essay. I want you guys to put together a visual presentation. Now, I think Prezi might be the easiest format to use, just because you basically can assign a slide to each group member that corresponds to the piece of evidence that you're arguing for the year or event that you've chosen. And also, everyone can access it at different times, so you guys don't have to be all online at one time to do this. You could also just do a straight up PowerPoint presentation. That's fine as well. There is a third option, but it would require a lot more organization on the part of your group, and that is to create an infographic. PictoChart, you can set up a free account and you can create these great infographics of your topic, and they have a lot of templates here, so you don't have to worry too much about design. It's just inputting the information. So like I said, it might require a bit more organization on the part of your group, but there could be a huge payoff as well. So going back to the PowerPoint. So PowerPoint, Prezi, PictoChart are definitely options. And if you have another option as well, I mean, I would be okay with a website, or if you want to create a blog or something like that, that's okay. I just want it to be a more visual project rather than just an essay. I think it'll be easier for you guys to organize and a bit more fun and creative as well. So basically with this project, these are the group tasks that need to be assigned. So each member needs to create a slide to support the year that you choose or event. A leader needs to compile all the slides into a single presentation. Give this person recognition in the peer evaluation that I'll be talking about in the next slide. Give people recognition, especially if they're doing a little bit extra work than you on this project. And then someone needs to create kind of an introductory slide that presents the year you choose, that has the group members on it, things like that. Again, give this person recognition in the peer evaluation. So the part 3 of this is the peer evaluation. Everyone needs to be fair but truthful when they're evaluating their group members and their participation, how much work they put into this project. And I just want to state, for those people that have had bad experiences with group projects, we have with the discussion posts, I will have proof whether or not someone's been participating in this project. I have the right to grade individuals separately or give them a 0 if I find evidence they are not participating. I've done this before when I've done group projects in other classes. And this is just to keep everyone honest, make sure everyone's participating and following directions. You don't need to go out of your way to make sure your group mates are participating. Just let me know, I will take care of it, or it'll just be reflected in their very bad grade for the project. 2 things I want you to keep in mind as you're creating this project. Your evidence that you're using to defend the year or event that you're choosing needs to demonstrate cause and effect. So you need to show that there is a change going on in global history because of this year or events in this year, or a single event, if you will. So make sure your evidence demonstrates change over time. Second, the due date of the project is the last day of lesson 9 at 11:59 midnight to Dropbox. So you're going to have to, whoever's in charge of putting the whole thing together needs to upload it to Dropbox. Okay, so I hope this further clarifies what you're doing. I should emphasize that this project is only worth 10% overall of your grade. And so I don't expect these massive projects. Essentially, you have the discussion, you make your decision, everyone creates a slide, 2 people are perhaps responsible for a bit more, but they'll receive recognition in their participation grade, in their peer evaluation grade for the project. So it's not as much work, I think, as you may have suspected. The amount of work is very reflective of the fact that it's only 10% of your grade, but I thought this would be a more interesting assignment than a midterm for this class. So I'm always available for additional questions via email. I will be monitoring discussion, but I'll try to intervene as little as possible. This is, you guys are working together on this. And like I said, let me know if you're concerned with the participation of any of your group members. So I hope you enjoy the discussion. Most students find periodization a very interesting discussion. So Good luck with the project and let me know if you have any questions.